Roads. My name is Andy Bond, and Steve Goad and I are touring our area, meeting entrepreneurs who have brought the American spirit to life. Today we're with Glenn Davis, City Councilman from Virginia Beach. Glenn, thank you for hosting us.
Thank you, Andy.
But we're not here to talk about the politics. We're here to talk to you about how you've been successful in a series of ventures. Could you talk to us about what it took to get to those? You tell us what they are, and then
Sure.
What does it take to go from one to another?
Sure. Well, in 1999, I started a telecom management company, and from there in 2002, merged it with a partner of mine, John Finguera. We started a company called Converge at that time. In 2009, we had the opportunity to acquire the assets of Geeks on Call, which is a nationwide IT franchisor with franchises around the country and also does service up in Canada. And we've reached out and ran a executive office-based company as well called IntelliSuites, and had a few different endeavors, some more successful than others.
But how do you move from one to another then? Have you sold one and used those assets to get the next one, and then sold those to get the next one, or have you been able to hold on to all of them, and how has that worked for you?
Well, I don't know if it has, Andy.
Well, you're a successful guy, it has.
So, it's, I think it's a little bit of John and I want to diversify our portfolio and a little bit ADD. And when those two come together, I think we realized that no matter how hard we tried, you couldn't have more than 24 hours in a day. And I had an opportunity back in, I think it was 2007, to go to an event where George Nadoff spoke, and he's the founder of Boston Market. And he tells a joke about sitting on too many toilets at one time, and he refers to companies as toilets. And he recommended no one try it. Well, at that point, John and I were already sitting on 3. And we realized through experience that you can diversify, but if you're going to have multiple entities, there needs to be some synergy between the 3. Right. And so John and I have learned that, and we're doing very well now. But that was a lesson we learned along the way.
And at what point in these series of 3, I guess, did you learn that synergy was important, and how has that played itself out?
Well, economies of scale is extremely important, and it's really helpful. Right now, we have a company called On Call Holdings. And On Call Holdings has Geeks on Call Telecom, and On Call Accountants. And we have great economies of scale because we share the same marketing team, we share the same salespeople. So it allows us to have a rather large overhead that we can diversify the cost amongst a couple entities. And if that exists, then I think you're doing well. More importantly, a customer of On Call Accountants still could use telecom solutions that On Call Telecom provides, and we can actually look at the same customer base and have a greater share of wallet within that customer base. So that's another great thing that we've realized through some of these more recent endeavors. Early on, there really was no synergy, let's say, between IntelliSuites and our telecom company, and that's where we kind of missed the boat in the beginning.
Now, you say that you talk about the customers' wallets, but I would imagine that it's not just that you're able to have a little more, but also that they benefit from the synergy, it sounds like.
Well, they do. If someone's going to turn their telecommunications over to a company, they truly trust that account team. So they do turn to that account team for other needs they may have, some of which we may provide, and we're more than happy to help out. And in some cases, maybe we don't, but we're honored that they turn to us as a trusted advisor, which is how we are able to get in the door with like our On-Call Accountants brand. When we actually service that customer at that time with our telecom solutions.
Now, given your role in politics, and I don't want to get into the issues, but what that means is that you've got your hand on the pulse and you understand what goes on in the area. And so, is Hampton Roads a place where you can be an entrepreneur?
Oh, it is. We're one of the best cities in the country for business and for starting businesses. Virginia is ranked number 1 or number 2, depending on the year. We go back and forth with Texas. So I think this is the place to be if you're starting a company. There's tremendous opportunity, not only in skilled labor, there's great opportunity with a diversified client base with all the small businesses that are thriving in Hampton Roads. And I think those two things are very important when you're starting a company.
And how does the state or the Commonwealth or even the local jurisdictions, do they do anything that would cause someone to say, oh, I can find relief here that I can't find elsewhere? Do you find that as a person who's put all these businesses in place here in Virginia Beach?
Well, there are a lot of assets. The economic development departments of all the cities are tremendously helpful in Hampton Roads. SCORE is a great organization that provides expertise to small business owners, whether it be just putting together P&L statements and running cash flow, or whether it's putting together exit strategies. There really are, between the chamber and the city's tremendous resources here.
So what caused you to start this adventure of serial entrepreneurship? What education did you have, and then did you go right from college to it, or how did you get to that place where you said, I want to be an entrepreneur?
Well, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've always wanted to have my own company and to be able to grow something. For me, the starting process actually was in 1999. The last week of November, I was laid off. So 4 weeks before Christmas, and my last 2-week paycheck in my hand, I knew I had something I never had the opportunity to do before, which is start my own company and truly have 40, 60, 80 hours a week to devote solely to that. And that's when I started. It was the one time in my life where I knew if I was going to do it, then was the opportunity. I tried prior to with a full-time job, but having a full-time job just doesn't give you the time necessary to truly get something off the ground.
You're such a low-energy, laid-back kind of guy. We all know that the opposite is true. But it still would seem to me that getting laid off would be more traumatic, but you viewed it as an opportunity.
Well,
how do you turn that in your mind that way?
Well, don't get me wrong. I mean, it definitely was traumatic. I didn't tell my parents that I didn't have a job for, I think it was a good 6 or 7 weeks. Like any, good family member or friends or parents, they'd be extremely concerned. So I decided I wanted to go and start my own telecommunications management company. I got an agency relationship with AT&T and Cavalier Telephone at the time, and just started to go out there and try to make sales. And once I knew that I think I was going to be able to make this work, that's when I kind of broke it to the parents and said, well, Mom and Dad, good news, bad news. One, I lost my job, but good news is I started something and I still can pay my rent.
A lot of the people that are going to be watching this, though, are people who are interested in embarking on that adventure. And so what did it take inside you? I appreciate you're concerned about your parents and, what people are going to think. But inside you there must have been this conflict of, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And oh my gosh, I can do anything I want.
Right. Well, I've talked to entrepreneurs about entrepreneurial risk taking, and I truly think the reason why I was successful back in 1999 was I had no plan B. When people want to go out there and want to jump in and do something different, what everyone around them kind of talks about is, well, what's your plan B? And if this doesn't work, what is your fallback? And I would argue that having a plan B sometimes hinders the success of plan A. I truly think the reason why I got up that 1 or 2 times more in the mornings when things were tight back then, or when I worked past midnight those times to get proposals together, was because I really didn't have a plan B. If I didn't make that work, I didn't know what I was going to do next. I've had since then opportunities to undertake new endeavors, some of which had no plan B, and others that had plan B. And from my experience, I've been much more successful not having a plan B. Unfortunately, plan Bs, it allows you to not make the tough decisions when those decisions need to be made. We can all look at the economy. A lot of companies were doing well when the economy was good, but with the economy kind of starting to fall now, they're making tough decisions, and they're still here, and they're thriving, but they're thriving because they made tough decisions, and in hindsight, a lot of those business owners realized they probably should have made those decisions back when, even though the economy was good, their business would have been much better off had they done it, but they didn't have the pressure to do so.
And have to.
How
about that?
So I've always felt that having a plan B allows you not to make those tough decisions for plan A to be successful. So not that I would suggest everyone run out there and put it all on red and spin it, but I would say that don't get too comfortable knowing what the other option is in case you fail, because you do get a little bit complacent.
How about that? That's great wisdom. Now, how did you pick CavTel and AT&T? Do you had an interest in telecommunications, or were you smart enough to see, and I mean you had to have been smart enough to see that was an opportunity there, but which outweighed the other?
Well, it was sheer luck. My background prior to was helping to put together a telephone company. So when I left, that's kind of what I knew, and I knew enough to be dangerous. The internet helped the rest. And as far as representing AT&T and Cavalier Telephone at the time, to be completely honest, those were the only two contracts I could get on basically the turn of a dime. So I went and got those, and over time, other opportunities came about, and I'd represent a few more here and there. But at that point, it was a little bit of survivorship and doing what I knew.
All right, Glenn, before we go, could you tell us a little bit about the companies that you hold in your role, that you continue to hold in them, so that people can go and research more about you and the businesses you're associated with, please?
Sure. Well, we have a couple of websites. www.oncallaccountants.com does online hosted bookkeeping and accounting support. We have an iPad app. It's tremendous technology for the bookkeeping industry. And if anyone's interested, they can go to that website. OnCallTelecom.com, represents about 40 companies across the country that we oversee the provisioning, installation, and even the design of voice and data solutions for companies, and people can go to that website as well. Both of which have a mission statement to enable success, and do that quite well for small to medium-sized business owners.
Well, thank you very much, Glenn. Congratulations on all your businesses
Thank you, Andy.
and your success as an entrepreneur. It's clear that you've given the American entrepreneurial spirit voice, and that's why we and you have been on the road in Hampton Road.